Hello everybody, in this video we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to take a slight break from the UFC tier list. Give myself some time to come up with some new ideas, and I'm going to take an idea that is pretty creative. We're going to be going through the animal kingdom, taking some of the best representatives from the bear community, the Australia community, we got a few from there, and we are going to put them into a tier list. And who would rule the animals version of the UFC? In reality, this is like a death battle between all of my favorite animals, and I'm going to throw in jokes along the way because I learned some new things researching for this video that, in all honesty, I'd rather not know. But we're going to start with probably one of the most famous picks for this, the chimpanzee. No, you are not beating a chimpanzee in a fight. They are going to rip your arms off and beat you with them. Yeah, chimps are going to fuck up a lot of things on this list. However, if we're going to compare it to the kings of the animal kingdom, the fact is chimps, they're not quite bits made, but they get bits made by other animals on this tier list. And for that reason, I kind of have to put them at like a low A tier. They're going to be the first one in our A tier, but just because they're kind of like a lesser version of us, but they could fuck us up. Like, imagine if you taught a chimpanzee how to suplex. Like, if you gave a chimpanzees like the fighting ability of like a Mighty Mouse, bro, we are effed. Yeah, we're going in A tier. So it's the same deal with like gorillas. If gorillas had the mental capacity to learn martial arts, we are done, okay? Like, I give us 3 days, and because 3 days is, I don't think the chimps would run after us. Also, fun fact, because of how jacked chimps are and their muscle density to their fat, they cannot swim. They are too dense. They are too jacked to swim. If this is wrong, you're probably just going to die to a chimp attack, so you can't really prove me wrong. But I read somewhere that chimps can't swim, and I just believe it because I've never in my entire life, even in a video, seen a chimp swim. You can correct me on that. Tigers. They are the kings of the felines, okay? The tigers kill lions, okay? Like, there's a story from a zoo. I forget what zoo it was, but I think it was like in New York. They put the lion enclosure right next to the tiger enclosure. And the lions would come up to the gate. And the tigers would like look at them and be like, oh, okay, we got some friends near here. One day the tiger just had enough of this, like, these noisy lions. And they came in and just slit the throat of one of the lions. Bled out dead. One swipe and they did it. Plus, I don't think people understand just how big tigers are. And there's one place on Earth in India where tigers haven't been around humans enough and they never learned to be afraid of us. And it's something crazy, like 20,000 people in the past 3 years have been killed by tigers in this one area. I think it's called like the Bengal Valley. I don't know. Just look up India Valley, tigers are not afraid of people, and watch the videos. They're terrifying. Speaking of terrifying, we're going to talk about kangaroos. My toxic trait is I think that I could beat a kangaroo with prep time. Let me explain prep time. I would have to construct a game plan. I would go to my gym. We have had full-on hour-long discussions in the group chat about this. How would you beat a kangaroo? According to Islam Makhachev, the striking of a kangaroo is very impressive, but the wrestling has never been tested. I do believe like a RNC strangling mechanic. Like, if I can take the back of a kangaroo, you might be able to strangle him. And apparently the reach isn't too good. They rely too much on kicks. And let's be real here. In the history of humanity, there was one crazy motherfucker that choked a kangaroo unconscious. Can we just admit that? That 100% happened at some point in human history. And I want the video to prove it. Not today, but one day. Yeah, kangaroos, I'm just going to be real with you, are kind of overhyped. I think they need to get exposed in nature, and if we ran the world, we would have like a Romans Colosseum death battle between all the animals. Fun fact, that is what the Romans did in the Roman Colosseum. But they missed the opportunity. They never did tigers versus lions. They did tigers against fucking bulls, man. Like, of course a tiger's gonna win. I'm going to say a kangaroo is gonna be a mid to low B tier. Very high combat IQ. They are probably one of the few animals that actually knows how to clinch, but they just aren't at the level of our grizzlies, our tigers, and our chimpanzees with higher potential. Next up is the honey badger. Honey badger defies the rules of nature. The rules of nature go a little something like this. If you are a smaller predator, you're going to get killed by the bigger predator. Do not F with them. Honey badgers don't give a fuck. They will fight anybody. And for that, I respect that mentality. They remind me of like the animal version of Ratang. If you don't know who Ratang is, just know he is a honey badger incarnate. I respect the honey badgers. Bro, they will... Bro, they will try to get a fade with lions. And lions are like, bro, back up. We're not going to be doing this today. And honey badgers say, today I choose violence and death. And they somehow survive. I'm going to say honey badgers. That's a tough one. Who wins in a fight? A honey badger or a kangaroo? I respect the mentality of a honey badger and the fact that they will fight anybody bigger than them. So I'm going to put them above a kangaroo. I think a kangaroo has bits made mentality. That's all I'm going to say. If you think I'm wrong, there's a video of a hunter just clocking a kangaroo in the face and he did nothing. That's a bad mentality to have in the animal kingdom. Next up, grizzly bears. Grizzly bears don't give a shit. Grizzly bears are one of the few animals that actually know how to wrestle. If you see two grizzly bears going at it, it looks like Khabib Nurmagomedov fighting Islam Makhachev. Like, their grappling is actually pretty good. Like, I'm convinced we learned some wrestling from grizzly bears, if not some type of bear. Probably not grizzly bears, probably not grizzly bears. We learned some grappling from bears. Because they got the IQ, arm drag, take the back, head control. When they get you on your back, like, grizzly bears know how to wrestle up. Think about that. Grizzly bears know how to wrestle up. Of course they're going in S tier. And plus, I'm going to put them above tigers for one reason. A tiger, for as big and bad as that monster of a thing is an ambush predator. Grizzly bears don't give a fuck. They will look at you from a mile away, smell you in the air, and they'll be like, yeah, I'm going to eat that. And they know you can't do shit about it. They won't even kill you. They'll eat you alive. That's how much of a gangster a grizzly bear is. A tiger's about efficiency. They don't want to deal with you wiggling around while they're eating you. No, they're going to kill you quickly. The one thing I will add, a tiger, despite being an ambush predator, is colored by nature in orange just to let everybody know not to fuck with them. Like, that's a real thing in nature. Next up, a hippopotamus. Like, you have to put it in S tier. Now, hippopotamus versus grizzly bear. The thing is, what the hippopotamus has is they're basically a big tank. They're a muscle tank, okay? They look like a turd, but they are a tank of muscle. I think a hippopotamus kills a tiger, and I think it kills a tiger fairly easily. I think if we get one of our best American grizzly bears, I think we can give him a run for his money. Now, don't get me wrong, I do believe a hippopotamus... Oh my goodness, I don't know where to put it. The fact is, a hippopotamus is, like, isn't it the most dangerous animal in all of Africa? Africa's like Australia on steroids, but a hippopotamus is the king of that? Like, I kind of have to do it. However, I'm going to add one thing. When Europeans came to Africa for the first time, they were fascinated by hippopotamuses. They were fascinated by the gorillas, the chimps. They thought they were cool creatures. When the Europeans went to America and first encountered grizzly bears, I shit you not, one of the first things that they wrote down was, maybe the Native Americans were right when they said there were demons in the woods. They have notes of how to hunt them, and it was like, do not try bullets, it only scares them. Poison and traps is your only hope. If all else fails, pray. I'm not kidding, that was their hunting guide for these things. For that mythology, and plus I'm an American, I'm going to stand for the hometown boy, the grizzly bear. Next up, the Komodo dragon. The Komodo dragon relies on venom that stops your blood from clotting, so you just bleed out to death, and it just runs after you. It's kind of bits made, I'm not even going to lie. If you have to rely on venom, it's kind of weak. Komodo dragon, as far as like and they'll fight each other. They're not fighting other predators. They don't want the smoke. They know. Their venom does... I don't know. I'm going to say Nah, I think they do beat a kangaroo. I think a Komodo dragon beats a kangaroo in an all... How about this? Kangaroo goes in C tier because My toxic trait is telling me I have a chance at beating a kangaroo in a fight. I don't think I'm beating a Komodo dragon. I know I'm not defeating a honey badger. A hunter badger will fuck me up. And I ain't even gonna try with any of these guys. Next up is the ostrich. I think an ostrich would scare off a Komodo dragon. I don't think a Komodo dragon would want to smoke with an ostrich. These things will disembowel you, dude. They have, like, Bowie knives on their feet. Think about this. The Australian military had to go to a truce with the ostrich population. Look it up. Wait. It's either that or a cassowary. I actually scrapped that. All I'm saying is an ostrich will disembowel you with its feet. People like myself that used to call ostrich just an oversized chicken, just know they're not like that. They are violence birds, okay? They aren't quite like Satan birds. That's another one on the list. Don't worry, we're going to get there. But they are definitely smack dab middle in a B tier. But the thing is I can't put it at the height of B tier because I think a honey badger would be like, you know what? Chicken sounds good today. So I got to put a honey badger at top. Next up. I could just imagine a honey badger going after a fucking ostrich. Next up is a gorilla. Okay. A gorilla's fucking me up. Okay? Like, I think we can agree on that. A gorilla's fucking me up. All I'm gonna say is this, though. A gorilla's one of the biggest missed opportunities in all of nature. Because imagine if these effers knew how to box. They're just swinging overhand rights, but... like, above a chimp, okay? A gorilla beats up a chimp. A chimp is not gonna beat a gorilla. Tigers are gonna beat a gorilla. Hippopotamus beats a gorilla. And yes, I'm gonna say it, our boy, the grizzly, is going to disembowel a gorilla. And it's for one reason, and I went down a rabbit hole to figure out who would actually win this like a month ago. Let me tell you why. You ever notice how a grizzly bear has really loose skin? That's an evolutionary trait. It's the same reason dogs have loose skin. Loose skin is tougher to cut. If you have skin that's very tight to you, your skin's going to cut and bleed easier. A chimp, they look jacked. Like, muscle-wise, they are jacked. They are going to bleed much easier than a grizzly bear. If a grizzly bear is bleeding, you know they got effed up. I think any of these guys disembowel a gorilla, and I think it's not even that difficult. I think, best case scenario, a gorilla can KO a grizzly bear and then just ground and pound TKO to death. But I think a gorilla gets disemboweled way before that. Next up, the black bear. Another toxic trait of mine. I think I can't stand a chance against a black bear if it's a child. Like, I would actually really like to wrestle a black bear. That sounds kind of dope. However, I don't like the idea of, like, declawing a black bear. That always sounds weird to me. But I know what? I'm going to give it to you Australians. I think a kangaroo would fuck up our black bears. Our black bears are only 6 feet tall. Granted, they might have the weight advantage, but I would give the reach, I would give the technique, I would give, like, the combat ability to the kangaroo. Now, the only thing I will give a black bear is I think a black bear's wrestling would be a little bit better. Like, they have to learn something from their grizzly cousins. I think a kangaroo has a better clinch, better kicks. I don't think they can throw a punch. They might be, like... They just stand like this. I don't know how strong their punches are going to be. Their kicks, I think you could break a grizzly bear's rib. Like, it wouldn't be about bleeding them out. I think you could fuck up a black bear. So yes, kangaroo above black bear. The pistol shrimp. This only made the list because they have the strongest punch in the entirety of nature. It is so strong that when people go down in scuba gear underwater and they encounter these little things, they get hit so hard it melts the scuba gear to their skin. They boil the water around them at the point of contact. It is the same principle of a firing pin and a bullet. That is how hard they hit. However, also it is kind of gangster that you have all these other predators in the ocean that are like, I use a light on the tip of my head to hunt my fish. I use my teeth. This fucker's just knocking you out and eating you. That's pretty badass. However, I think it's safe to say he gets effed up by everything else in nature, purely based off size. It's like comparing Mighty Mouse to Francis Ngannou. Yes, better technique, better fight IQ, Size, though, brother. Yeah, D tier. Next up is the American Cougar. Probably our best cat. And looking at this list, our Cougar's gonna beat up your kangaroo. I'm gonna say that. A honey badger's just so damn crazy, dude. And it might be, I think it's the lowest B tier. That's as far as I'm gonna go because we got some other ones on this list that I need to talk about. However, I'm gonna say this. Near my house, they thought that there was gonna be a cougar around in our neighborhood. And somebody caught it on like a dash cam. And those fuckers are so big. You don't realize how big they are. There's a story of a dude in Colorado that strangled one with his bare hands, and it was like an adolescent. And he looked like Two-Face by the end of it. But you know that dude felt like the man. His testosterone raised by 20 grams by the end of it. I'm going to say cougar, end of B tier. Next up, the cheetah. Not a hot take, I'm just gonna say it. The cheetah is the most bits-made cat in the entirety of the animal kingdom. All hype, no skill. Let me tell you why. Because the cheetah, despite racing 60 miles per hour, they can only maintain that speed for something like 2 seconds. And they have to take a 15-minute break because since they don't have sweat glands like humans, they have to pant. And the problem with that it's just not as effective as sweating. If they don't catch their prey when in their sprint, they have to take a 15-minute break. In fact, the biggest reason why cheetahs are going extinct isn't just because of humans. No, it's because it's so, their effectiveness in nature, in hunting their prey, is so low. And even if they kill it, they have to take a nap right afterwards before they can disembowel it. What type of cat is that? You have to take a break after you kill something because it was too exhausting. Weak animal. I'm not winning that, but at the same time, black bear conquers, kangaroo conquers, pistol shrimp maybe. But I'm going to say, cheetah, low C tier, weak animal. Next up, the crocodile / alligator. I'm going to take up the best of both of you. You are ambush predators, but you have an advantage. There's a gene in alligators and it's either alligators or crocodiles. I'm just going to say for both just to make it easier on myself. They will grow to the amount of food that is available to them, and their life expectancy is higher than normal compared to other animals. I'm also going to give another point for their durability stat. They have built-in armor. They're built-in armor. Alligators and crocodiles today are the same from when the dinosaurs were around. They got the design down to a T. Their durability in nature is insane. There was a Florida man that had a pet alligator that only ate KFC and mozzarella sticks. That was his nutrition. They can eat rotted meat. But we're not talking about their evolutionary standing or any of that bullshit. We're talking about if they could win a fight. And here's the problem with alligators. This is another animal that I think I could take, and for one reason. Despite alligators having the toughest bite force in the entirety of nature, you can hold down their top jaw with less than 10 pounds of force. In fact, it's become a problem in Louisiana. For hunters, they're going to put zip ties around their snout, and they just die of starvation because they can't break it. I'm not kidding. So if you could hold down the nose of an alligator or crocodile, you win easy. Also, it's going to go segue into the next animal on my list. Alligators top of C tier, the jaguar. Jaguars hunt crocodiles. If that is not the most gangster shit you've ever heard, I don't know what is. Imagine getting bits made in home field advantage. Imagine a jaguar jumping into the water to hunt you after you failed to ambush them. Personally, I'm not taking that. What? A jaguar goes into water to hunt crocodiles. I gotta put a jaguar probably above our North American cougar for that level of gangster. Jaguars actually no. Jaguars beats a Komodo. A cougar beats a Komodo. I don't respect the venom, okay? Get in the back. Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm justified there. Next up is a rhino. Our tank here probably has the best HP stat out of everybody here. Because of that, I'm gonna put him at the he beats that. Yeah. I'm going to put them at the top of A tier. If it weren't for the fact that they're pretty defensive, like here's the thing. If they just had a little bit more aggression and they weren't grazing animals, I would probably put them at S tier, but the Predators have to stay at S tier because they got that mentality going for them. But I do believe a rhino would beat a honey badger. I think they deserve this spot right here. That's fair. Next up, a python. What does the python have going for it? Grappling. Grappling's pretty good. They strangle their prey unconscious, break ribs, break bones just with the muscles. Also, pythons also have a pretty interesting thing similar to crocodiles. They will grow to the amount of food that is available. Fun fact about here in America, 90% of all life in the Everglades has been slaughtered ever since pythons mysteriously got introduced into the Everglades. Coincidence? Probably not. Pythons are going in and they're clearing house. They eat crocodiles. What do you even do in that situation? I'm going to say pythons purely because of how effective they are. I'm going to put them above a cheetah because I just don't respect the mentality of a cheetah. But I think they can mess them up. Actually, nah. There we go. That's better. That works out good. Next up, the lion. A lion's going to be an A tier. A lion kills a chimp. I think a lion kills a gorilla for the reasons that I stated before. I think they can bleed a gorilla dry. The fact is the stamina and their ambush predators. Quick swipe in, now they're bleeding out. Bite to the neck, bleeding out of there. Slice a carotid. They're bleeding out as you're hunting them. And I think a lion is going to be able to take a gorilla high diff, though. I think a rhino is just a little bit too difficult unless you get a group of lions. Yeah, I think that's fair. And I've already said tigers beat lions. Like, they ain't beating any of them, brother. I'm sorry. Next up, a cassowary. I wasn't going to put them on here until I find out that they're the most dangerous bird in the entirety of Australia. Dog, what? They also, instead of having Bowie knives on their feet, they're smaller, but they have razor blades. And they just cut up and kill people. F that. I'm going to put you very bottom of B tier, okay? Their aggressiveness in mating season, that's the problem that they have. I would put a Komodo dragon over them. I'm going to do that. And because they're more aggressive and more dangerous than kangaroos, I got to put them above there too. Polar bears. The only problem with putting I'm going to put them in S tier, but I'm going to put them bottom of S tier for one simple reason. They don't have the reps, okay? Grizzly bears are repping their technique on other grizzly bears. Polar bears, outside of the occasional scuffle in mating seasons, you're just not seeing a lot of combat. What are they hunting? Seals. A seal is like nature's mozzarella stick. Like, I can't put a lot of stock in you. A grizzly bear is at least fighting animals that are similar to it in build. What I mean by build is, like, think about this. A polar bear is hunting little fat mozzarella seals, okay? A grizzly bear has to hunt elk. Elk is like the super athlete of deer, okay? I gotta put it there. But they're just so damn big and scary, I think they do beat the rest of them, even without reps. You give a polar bear some grizzly bear reps, though, I think they could clear most of nature. Next up, a coyote. A bitch-ass wolf. That's what I like to call them. Coyotes are weak, okay? They are pack hunters. Similar to wolves, but I think I could take a coyote in a fight. The one thing I will give them is their mentality is at a pretty good level, but we need more people in D tier. I'll put you above the pistol shrimp. What I mean by their mentality. Coyotes will disembowel themselves. They will eat their own intestines if they are hungry. They will bite their own feet off if they are entrapped. Like, I respect that level of mentality. Next up, bobcats. Bobcats are dangerous, dude. I've seen a few of them in my life, and honestly, they scare me more than she does. Like, yeah. Crocodiles scare me more than that. The fact is the crocodile, if he hops out of the water, I ain't doing shit. Bobcat, the hell am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Hops out of a little divot? Nah, I'm done. Next up, a wolf. I like my chances against a bobcat and an alligator. A python, I think, could no-diff me. A wolf, probably is gonna no diff me too. From here down is like beat a bull. I do think a kangaroo would beat a wolf though, just based off like combat IQ and clinching and kicks. I think a wolf by itself would actually kind of be bits made by these larger animals going up. Yeah, I think that's a fair placement. The harpy eagle. We're gonna look at a picture of one of these little fuckers. I say little, they ain't little. Harpy eagle. I know I spelled that wrong, but at the same time, I just need to show you these things. These are the biggest bird in the world. A harpy eagle is not the best name for him. I like to call them Lucifer's parrot. The fuck is that, dude? They have little horns too. Imagine you're walking out at night and you see this thing. Let's see it compared to a human. Boom, human. Fuck that, dude. Yeah, I ain't doing that. They hunt chimps. Imagine seeing that. Imagine you're on like a little safari honeymoon or whatever, and you see a harpy carrying a chimp. You hear the screaming throughout the tree. F that. No. They go at the top, and honestly, probably the most dangerous bird. Lucifer's parrot goes at the bottom of A tier, okay? Alright guys, so in editing, I lost the complete ending of this video, so I'm going to redo it, so that's why if things look a little bit different, that's the reason why I'm wearing a different shirt. Let's finish this off. The sloth bear, okay? The sloth bear, if you're gonna call the harpy eagle Lucifer's parrot, this is like the devil's hamster. The sloth bear runs a fade with tigers in the rainforest. If that's not the most gangster shit a bear has ever done, I don't know what is. When people want to discuss who would win in a fight, our American grizzly or the tiger, people will compare the grizzly bear to the sloth bear, but I'm just going to tell you they're not comparable. The one thing I will give the sloth bear is the sloth bear's mentality is just something different. I don't think a grizzly bear would run a fade with an animal that it's double its size, but a sloth bear, due to, I don't know what it is, probably like double the testosterone for its body, it'll attack a tiger. The problem is, most of the time the tiger is packing the sloth bear. The sloth bear just can't stand a chance. But every once in a good while, about 10% of the time, the sloth bear can somehow kill a Bengal tiger. For that, I think a sloth bear beats a harpy eagle, beats a chimpanzee, but gets packed by a gorilla. I think that's pretty fair. I think that's an even fight. I would definitely pay a pay-per-view price to see who would win this. Tell me in the comment section who you think's winning. Next up, the baboon. I can't put these too high. The one thing that I will say about a baboon is I used to be scared of baboons because of the Tarzan movie, and those things were like demon monkeys. I'm going to say baboons purely because I'm not impressed by them. If people that live in the rainforest can pack you up for dinner, and that is what happens, I think I'm going to put you slightly above a cassowary because I respect the baboon just a little bit more. And I do think a Komodo dragon would eat a baboon. That'd be kind of wild. A hyena. A hyena is probably the most terrifying of all the canines. If I had to choose to fight a wolf or a hyena, I'm going to choose the wolf, okay? Because I think I stand a better chance fighting a fully grown wolf than a hyena. And the other thing, a wolf is going to kill you and then eat you. A hyena will disembowel you. They have the ruthlessness of a coyote, but the size of a wolf, okay? If you ever want to scare yourself, look at the size comparison between a golden retriever and a hyena. Brother, I ain't doing that. A hyena would pack a cheetah pretty easily, pack a bobcat, kill a crocodile and an alligator, beat a wolf. I do think it would just smash the skull of a python. But I do think a black bear stands a pretty good chance in a 1v1 battle scenario. And I do think the kangaroo could just break the skull of a hyena with one kick. That's all I'm saying. I'm going to say middle C tier. I think that's pretty fair. Next up, the dingo. I put the dingo on here because they have the highest, I think it's the highest success rate of all pack animals in nature. And collectively, they have collectively better IQ than chimpanzees. So they are actually some of the most effective hunters in nature. However, one-on-one, they are slightly better than your average dog. Like, if you could beat up a golden retriever, not golden retriever, if you could beat up a German shepherd, you could probably beat a dingo 1v1. But I'm going to put a dingo above a cheetah because I don't respect the cheetah. I've already said that. I'm going to put a dingo above a bobcat. I think I'm going to go below a crocodile. Crocodiles have built-in armor. Dingoes are just effective. That's really all it. And finally, the African elephant. Listen, it would be blasphemy not to put it anything other than S tier, and it's going to go at the top. Why do I say this? I almost didn't include it because it's just unfair to the rest of the animals. Let me tell you why. Elephants will rape rhinos. If that is not some of the scariest stuff you could ever think about, like, they will stab a rhino in mating season, okay? These guys are built different. A motivated African elephant is just a different type of menace. I remember reading an article about there was an African elephant that killed somebody in Africa. And after this elephant trampled this lady, it came to its funeral and stomped on the corpse. If that is not just a peak level of petty, I don't know what is. They got the Black Air Force energy. I am not messing with an elephant. I think an elephant beats everybody on here. I think an elephant destroys a grizzly bear, destroys a hippopotamus, tiger, and polar bear. They rape rhinos, dude. I keep saying it. That's just a different level of menace in nature. I think the elephant, a motivated elephant, beats everybody else. I think this tier list worked pretty well. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. This was supposed to come out yesterday. Because of our camera issues and losing the file, I'm just going to put it out today. Thank you guys for your continued support. Wanted to do a funner tier list, something different from stuff before. We'll be back to MMA stuff in the next video. If this is a series that you want to see me continue, or every once in a while do a tier list of how likely UFC fighters are to beat a chimpanzee, let me know in the comment section below. Or if you have another suggestion for a tier list, comment section below. I'll respond to you. Thank you guys for watching. Adios.